Welcome to Holocaust Museum Houston's virtual programs. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Dr. Kelly Zuniga, CEO of Holocaust Museum Houston, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to our virtual spoken word event, Mandela Resistance, Poems and Stories to Push Us to Our Tomorrow. Creative young writers Calvin King, Norah Rami, Durmerrick Ross, Katrina Machetta, and Houston 2020 Youth Poet Laureate Madison Petaway will be performing tonight with their own poetry in this live performance hosted by Outspoken Bean. Their poems are inspired by Mandela's struggle for freedom, the lessons of the Holocaust, and the current racial movement in the United States. On view at our museum until January 3rd, 2021 is the exhibition Mandela, Struggle for Freedom, which explores the struggle for justice in South Africa and Nelson Mandela's fight for human rights. It's a fascinating exhibition that you do not want to miss. This program is being recorded and will be available through our own YouTube platform at a later date. We will be sending out the information via email to all registrants within the next 48 hours. We're so excited for the performance this evening and incredibly honored to be a platform for these young poets to share their talents. And now I would like to turn tonight's program over to Outspoken Bean. Take it away.
Hello, and welcome. Thank you for joining us here at the Holocaust Museum in Houston. My name is Outspoken Bean, and I will be your MC host for the show this evening. We are here in the new space, and it's light. It's light in here, right? I want to say, listen, if you are here for the first time, welcome. Thank you. This is for important times. If you've been watching programming and being a part of the Holocaust Museum Houston for a while, thank you. Please continue to do it. We're really excited to present some poetry. The name of this presentation is aptly named Mandela Resistance, and we have 5 incredible poets lined up, all from the city of Houston, and they've written amazing work that is coming from their hearts, and is coming from their souls, and coming from their truths. So we want you to kick back, relax, and enjoy what you're going to hear. The first young lady you will be hearing is Katrina.
I wrote this poem, One Breath Away, because I want to show people that no matter where you are from or what you look like, that everyone should be considered equal. Holocaust is a very important event in our history. And this event shows people that we need to learn from our mistakes and from now forward, treat everyone as equals in society. One breath away. All of us are born the same way, but live in different ways. Created, humans are like books, all created the same way, but read and treated different. Our words are like bullets, piercing through the surface, melting the glaciers that stood for generations. Our tongues can transcend society, constricting evil and transforming hate. Our eyes, like mirrors, can show you what's on the surface, but never narrates the whole story. Seen. Our movements and protests are specks of light that shine in the midst of darkness. Racism is like pollution. Sometimes it's hard to see, but you know it's there. But love is running towards the finish line even when it moves, because love is running past it and gaining something beyond any medal. How can we learn to live in a world born with rising hate, where every breath we take is one we fear that might be taken? Each victim's name is the same story with a different headline. I will be waiting for the day where human lives will be more than just breaking news, instead a breakthrough in history. This is the world we live in. 2 deaths don't make 1 life, but 1 life can prevent 2 deaths. All of us are revolving around the never-ending sun of society. The rays of racism unfairly burn through those who look and sound different. The world has a generation of wounds with indelible scars. But love, like snow, is pure and refreshing. The pictures last forever. But the weather, like seasons of our life, fade after a while. Every syllable of life trickles through our every cell as a microcosm of our worth. Some of us fly with angels before we have a chance to stand on our own. Some of us are born prisoners before we have a chance to prove our innocence. For those that came before me, your stories, like the clouds, will fly over the next generation, remembering that familiar pain and cherishing every breath as if it were our last.
Oh my gosh. All right. Now, thank you, Katrina, for filling the room. All right, and blessing the stage. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get to this next poet. All right. This next poet I've been knowing for half a decade. All right. He's a ball of energy. He goes to TSU, right? Now, I didn't advise that, but I'm glad he's there. All right. I'm glad he's there. Ladies and gentlemen, he was on the 2019 Poetry Slam team for Houston, called Metaphor Houston. I have nothing else to say. All right. Start clapping, bring your energy. Clap at home for Calvin King.
All right. I'm here. Hello, everybody. As previously stated, my name is Calvin King. I'm a 21-year-old junior at Texas Southern University. And speaking of being a junior, I actually wrote this poem that I'm going to be performing today when I was a junior in high school. And at first, I wrote it because I knew I was going to be a part of that year's Black History program. And I wrote it in January, and then the program was at the end of February, and I realized as the program grew closer and closer, I realized I was angry because I kept seeing things that should have been over a long time ago, shouldn't have ever happened. And I'm still seeing these things today, and I'm still angry about these things today. And I didn't know what else to do. In uncertain times like these, it's hard to figure out what to do when you are angry, and sometimes you feel kind of helpless. And this event is named after Nelson Mandela, who had a resistance, and I feel like my way of resisting is writing. Even if compared to what he did, it may not seem as much. This is resistance against, feeling hopeless, and this is resistance against stereotypes, and the resistance against whatever has been holding us back as a people. So thank you, and I will be sharing with you this poem. Is it too much for America To love Black people the way they love Black Friday, we ask, is it too much for South Africa to love Black people the way they love saying the N-word? We ask, is it too much for Britain to love Black people the way they love little Black dresses, mixed babies, urban slang, or anything Black besides Black people? We ask, until we finally understand why this world is so deeply into BDSM, since they love to screw us and chain us down. So we finally understand why we didn't get our 40 acres and a mule, but instead some acres in a jail cell and bull. Yet oddly enough, America, the world, has the nerve to ask, why are Black people so angry? The audacity to ask what's wrong. We respond, they say, shut up, keep quiet, you're wrong, you're racist for calling me out, and burning everything to the ground. Then everything stays the same. Our demands for equity are drowned out by the songs they want to hear, as if we didn't sing those songs, as if they didn't quote our Martins, our Malcolms, our Nelson Mandelas after they called them madmen for seeing a planet made for everyone, as if we aren't worth all of the honey and melanin in this world. You do not own us. You don't own our brothers and our sisters, nor our beautiful mothers and fathers, but you do owe us. Citizens are told to inhale life and exhale the fruits of our labor. But how can we, when we are stripped of our lives that are not fully lived yet by these devils trying to play God? We are done playing Russian roulette with our lives every time we step outside our door. Jim Crow may have left his nest, but his feathers are still covering our streets. We are done being moving targets, because this ain't hunting season. This ain't war. But if there's no justice, we swear there will be no peace. There will be no going silently into that good night, no shucking, no jiving, no running, no hiding in this killing field you call a country. But even through all of the brokenness, lynchings, attacks, crimes, killings, we still remain beautiful, lovely, alive, courageous, kind, even as this world has tried to kill us, because it can never kill our Blackness, nor can it swallow a sea of hope such as Blackness, because we are mixed with Black and determination. Thank you.
With Black and determination. You know, resistant looks in a lot of ways, and it comes in a lot of colors. Thank you, Calvin, for that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for writing that piece, man. It's one of my favorites from you. Appreciate it. This next young lady, there's a lot of things I want to say, but I really, really want to say that are all positive. But I want her to tell you. I want her to get up here and fill this room, fill this space. Hopefully you haven't left, all right? Hopefully your body has moved, but not in a back motion, but in a leaning in, right? Y'all from home, start clapping right now for Madison Pettaway. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Madison Petaway. I am a senior at Westbury High School, and I am Houston's 2020 Youth Poet Laureate. So I am a honorary poet of Houston. So proud to have that title. Definitely not what I expected to do this year, but it's been great. The poem I am actually about to read to you guys was published in New York Times. So I'm very excited to share it with you guys. It's all about my identity as a Black girl in America, and how because I have been called articulate. It's been kind of hard navigating the Black girl life because people don't expect me to speak so well. So yeah, that's what this poem is about. I wish I understood what it is like to be a Black girl, to know myself like a dictionary definition, to see something wrong with the world and position yourself in a warrior stance. Hand on hip, leg cocked, head tilted, acrylics pointed, ready to clap back, snap in a Z formation, increase my volume for dramatic effect, and even then, I'd pose no real threat. The art of literacy is not aggressive. My whiplash tongue hurt as passive for never using my racist dialect, or as my white teacher put it, never leaving your cultural imprint. Black and brown faces look at me in betrayal. Surrender is not the way of a woman of color. Do you know how I raised my fist to protest only to be met with the shaking of hands, gifted opportunity after opportunity for not a step outside my mark? I don't want this privilege. General Boomer tells me to get it together. Eyeing me in disgust is enough to realize he's lost my trust, as if I could choose to shed the skin before joining enemy lines. As if I could choose to shed this skin, to be at war with myself, to want to strangle my tongue. Would you believe me if I told you the closest I've ever felt to my own race was mispronouncing my own name? Madison was easier to learn. Its origin to a slave master, or how I've been taught to say, founding father. Google search on my surname Pettaway. Did you mean Pearson? No Peter, no Perry, no Pettis. Did you mean Petway Plantation? Images. Did you know they were Black like you? Maps. Did you know they were from Alabama? Did you know they moved to North Carolina? Did you forget you have family members in both of those locations? Did you know there are subreddits of people looking for people with the surname Petway because white doctors didn't have the decency to spell our name correctly? There are no dictionaries for names without origins. This is my birthright, and it's not broken, not worn, so I wear it. To be Black, I've heard, is to be synonymous with beauty, with magic, but I feel anything but. A throat that spits fire seems more just than spitting poems. I say to be a Black girl is to bring what you can to the fight, while in a warrior stance. Hand on hip, pat and weave, pick and fro, jaw loose, is to be a Black girl. Thank you.
So proud of Madison. Yeah. Am I the only one? Right? There are people in the room, right? There are people in the room, so I don't think I'm just talking to people, right? I'm talking to no one. Not that crazy. All right. Good job, Madison. Good work. All right. So this next poet is he's a Texas poet. However, he's just not a Houston. He's not an H-Town poet, right? I met this young man when he was probably like 15, 14 years old, competing in the regional poetry slams that would happen around the state before we would go to the big one. Very talented young man. Really happy that he is here in Houston. Not happy he's at TSU, but I will get over it. I promise I will. Y'all start clapping at home and in here for Durmerrick.
Hey, I'm so excited, grateful, and humbled to be here to share with you all today a piece that I've just written here recently. It's a piece that talks a little bit, I've titled the piece, for at least now the working title is Live and in Living Color. And it's a piece where I kind of talk a lot about what representation looks like. I know since 2015, the hashtag Oscars So White, there has been such a outpour and a demand for more representation of Black folk, people of color on screen. And I kind of juxtapose that with the routine murders that we see of Black people on screen and ask, what do we mean by more representation if we are already represented on screen, just not in the ways in which that, of course, people in media and people in entertainment have been talking about it, but a way that when cross-applied to this analysis, if you will, I think makes for a powerful perspective and an even more powerful and important piece that I am, so excited to share and even more excited to have written. So I'll share this piece. In July, Netflix announced the acquisition of several major Black sitcoms in response to global demands about more representation on screen. And I ask, what is more representation when the most watched video of 2020 is a Black man being lynched on Minneapolis asphalt? Isn't this already a major sitcom? The way celebrities receive participation ribbons for cameos at the protest, a horror. The way his neck could no longer hold his head above the weight of this wicked white world, a comedy. The way the world then turned and told us to be peaceful, an action. The way knee turned to weapon, asphalt to casket, Facebook Live to funeral, a drama. The way his cries for his mother went unheard, a sci-fi thriller. The way his cause of death has been explored. What does it mean for Black folk to be more represented on screen when every week a new murder is broadcast live and in action for the whole world to see? There is nothing like a Black person on screen that'll bring the whole world to its feet. Whether breathing or bloody, whether real or make-believe, they'll make us believe there is something magical about the way we disappear on screen. We say more representation on camera. You tell the police to turn theirs on. We say Black media deserves larger platforms. You tell CNN to broadcast our funerals, and we are tired of going live in 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. In the criminal and justice system, racially based offenses are considered especially holy. In the United States, the dedicated delinquents who execute these vicious crimes are members of an evil squad known as the police department. These are their stories. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys are always doing the murders around here, then calling themselves heroes, calling for backup, scared our holy Black bodies gon' get back up, then tell our families who watched the murder in front their eyes to back up. While the world turns and tells us to pray to God, but nowadays it seems like heaven's voicemail is backed up. How long does a Black body lie in the sweltering sun before someone calls an ambulance? In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Find out next time on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, except when Black suns set in the middle of the street. The earth then gathers around his name, call it an orbit or a rally. His mother's screams are swallowed by the black holes in his body as gravity brings her to the ground. The moon asks, how long until the next sun sets? In 5, 4, 3, 2. Find out next time on How to Get Away with Murder. It's like the show Cops, told from the perspective of the criminal. It's like going to trial for the bullets that didn't kill Breonna Taylor. It's like Joe Biden being called an uncle as if he ain't locked all hours away. It's like the murdered being put on trial while the murderer conducts the investigation. Is like America, but one day we will write a new sitcom, a sitcom not based on representation but resistance, a story where the oppressed take their liberation by force, a story where a black person's murder is always followed by a riot instead of just a funeral, a story where someone else finally joins in on the dying, a story where we win once and for all, and we will build this world anew, and we will watch how we baptize this world in revolutionary fire, and out of its holy ashes rise up and live out the true meaning of humanity. And we will know that someone, somewhere, someday will know that we were here and know that we dared to walk straight through the valley of the shadow of death and fight back and resist.
couldn't resist. Thank you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Man, that got me hyped, y'all. That got me hyped. We're at our closer. We're at our closer. What's interesting about all of these poems is I gave them very little instruction, right? I gave them very little instruction when it came to their construction. And I wanted them to be honest. Like I said, I wanted this to be their truth. I feel that they are doing that and some. I feel that they're being genuine. And a lot of times, some people's genuine may rub you the wrong way. It's like going against the grain when you get a haircut. Anyway, it doesn't feel great, but it doesn't mean that it isn't. This next young lady, she is a junior. I enjoyed her on my slam team. I enjoyed all three of them. So Calvin, King, Madison, and this next young person. The three of them were on my slam team for really kind of stretched out to 2 years because, pandemic. And I really enjoyed each of you. Each of you brought something very unique and different and honest and pure. Well, no, not pure. Y'all ain't perfect, but pure for you. Okay, pure for you, right? And I appreciated it. I had a great time, and I know y'all did because I'm awesome. That's just how things go, But back to this next young lady. You're gonna enjoy her work, She takes her time. She's deliberate. She's very concise. She thinks about it. She likes to see things in a global sense. Y'all show love for Norah, aka Noratorious. Y'all can clap, man. Y'all clap for some people. You can clap. There's people here.
Show me some love. Hi, everybody. Okay. It looks like Bean's around the same height as me, maybe. Am I growing? Hi, my name is Norah or Noratorious, depends on what you want to call me. I am a junior at Clements High School. And I have been lucky enough to be on the team with Madison and Calvin, and I'm so happy to have met Durmerrick today. His fit is impeccable. Let me just tell you, it is really nice. But a little bit about the poem today. My favorite class in school is history. But the funny thing about history is it's less of facts and more of a story. It depends on who writes it and how they tell the story. And sometimes it gets confusing. You forget what's right, what's wrong, what's up, what's down, and everyone has their own idea of what history was. Which is what's great about what the Holocaust Museum is doing, is having an exhibition so that we can really learn more about Mandela's history and learn more about the history as a whole. And so I hope my poem is a little bit of a window into some of the misconceptions we have concerning our history, and maybe the incentive to learn a little bit more and do your own research and see what you can learn about your own history and create our story. So thank you. History is written by the victors, then rewritten, crossed out, erased, and written again. History books sing Nelson Mandela, non-violent activist, who fought against an unjust system with the help of the United States and won, restored South Africa to its glory, reinvented the system, the end. But history is a creature that morphs in and out of shape, rewritten, crossed out, erased, and written again. Edit number 1. In wake of the Minneapolis riots, Karens began reposting cherry-picked quotes of Mandela and Dr. King, pleading the protesters to be nonviolent, palatable, easy enough to ignore. The idea of a nonviolent movement is a myth, for every step forward was pushed by the complementary hand of violent action. In 1961, Mandela co-founded the militant Umkhonto we Sizwe, leading sabotage campaigns against the government until he was arrested in 1962. Upon his pressured release, it was only with the threat of armed resistance from the ANC was he able to reach the floor to negotiation. Nonviolence only works when the oppressor wants to listen. And why would the oppressor want to listen? Van Clerk conceded out of fear, not empathy. But it is easier to ignore these sides of our history and rewrite the story so that the oppressor wins the Nobel Peace Prize for losing a battle with the man he tried to oppress. Cross out number 2. The United States prides itself on being the moral compass of the world, hiding skeletons in the closet and sweeping bodies under the rug. In wake of United Nations recommended sanctions against South Africa, decrying the brutality of apartheid, the U.S. was wary to step on, too busy defending Jim Crow to condemn its cousin, afraid of what liberation will look back home, afraid of men who dare challenge the oppressive state. Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist by the United States until 2008. Mandela outwardly opposed the U.S. invasion of Iraq, stating, if there is any country that's committed the unspeakable atrocities of the world, it is the United States of America. But to place itself on the right side of history, America has placed itself on the rewritten side of history. Draft number 3. Wars don't end with treaties. Rather, we slap a bandage on them while they fester and infect and scab and clap ourselves on the back for having hidden the wound. Mandela's war was not won the second he took office. Rather, he was finally able to approach the starting line. There was still work to be done. The legacy of apartheid has long outlived itself. 47% of South African blacks still live in poverty, making it one of the most unequal countries in the world. Mandela began the race, but it is up to us to carry his legacy, his history, an unedited and pure relay of a hero, a testament of who we ought to be, and take it to the finish line with every line. Thank you.
Closer. Kind of. Y'all, I hope you enjoyed yourself. I thoroughly did. There was a lot of poems that were brand new, that were written specifically for this event. I want to say thank you for doing that. There were some poems that I requested. I want to say thank you for doing those poems. Being a poet is hard. It's interesting. I don't know if it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's interesting. It's a lot of mental demand. This year has been a year for the books. And I feel that if it's too much, take your time with it. It's almost over at this point. And there's a lot of excitement with some people with that. But I want us to, to recognize our humanity in each other. The Holocaust Museum is so important. The exhibit that they have going right now, Mandela, is so important because it really does show what resistance can look like in human form. And a lot of times resistance is not rewarded. It looks back fondly, but in the midst, it is not rewarded. Every person that has been an activist, active activists, A lot of them have lost their lives. A lot of them can't go back to their home countries. A lot of them can't be with their families. To go against a system that is going actively against them, from the Holocaust to Haiti Renaissance to here with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I want to honor someone who would have been old enough to be on my slam team. Her name is Olutoyin Salu. She was from Florida. And she was doing she was a strong young woman. I coach youth poets from ages 13 to 19. She died at 19 years old this June. And it's heartbreaking because she was fighting for Black men, and she died at the hands of a Black man. So to the Black men, the AR-15 in the right hand as the left peers through curtain shears to the protectors. When will that word be used as a verb? To the by any means necessary? Well, not necessarily. This is not a poem to uplift Black men, but to hold us to accountability, Toyin. We have sheep clothing failed you. We have Black Lives Mattered at times. You stood in the gap, took punches on both cheeks and then fought back. You have a shoving spirit of resistance even when we prove to be chauvinistic. Where's the outrage behind your death of this starch irony? Black women been first in line of the front lines, lives laid out, stretched like Sunday's best. Stressed, we are stretching out our beloved backbones, and they're the ones that lead the charge, or even better, to follow ours without our collective backup. But we exclaim, we profess to be your rock, but we're also your hard place. Black women die at a similar rate to law enforcement as we do. So when they are chanting, we can't breathe, they're not just saying those words to the police. Behind every Black man's death, there is an army of battered Black women who have died on our behalf, and what we give them is half. So this is for Black men, all Black men, to stand into the gap and to protect Black women, even if it means it's from other Black men. Toyin, you didn't deserve to be murdered by skin that resembles yours. We don't deserve you or them, but from us, you deserve so much more. You threw up arms, banners, shields, and swords. Toyin, you said that you can never be silent. So could I please amplify your reverb? Because it's really never enough just to say your name. That's resistance to me. Thank y'all for staying here. Thank you for watching. Thank you to the Holocaust Museum, Houston, for thinking of this and reaching out to writers in the schools. I work for writers in the schools. All these young people are part of writers in the schools in some capacity, and this is the kind of work we want to do. This is the work we want to do to let people know that young people's voices matter. That the voices of tomorrow are more important than the ones that are today, right? And we want to nurture them. We want to encourage them to not only just to know grammar, but to be able to speak eloquently about their thoughts and the things that matter to them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Outspoken Bean, and all our young poets. That was such a powerful program and very, very inspirational. It was a privilege to have you perform at our museum this evening. Thank you, and everyone, I hope you have a pleasant evening and a good night.